We've got round 3 action tonight from the Lost Legion Games and Comics live stream. It's Friday Night Magic. My name, as always, Zachary Evans. I'm the Zach, and Zach Sells Magic, and we're bringing you some standard action tonight. Like I said, it is round 3, and we've got a pairing of 2 undefeated players. On the right, stream regular and all-around nice guy, Max Turner. Playing this week, he has moved away from the Gruul Aggro deck that he piloted for these many weeks, and is now on a Jund Midrange plan. His opponent is Vince Smith. We don't get to see that much because Vince does live a considerable distance away during the summers. When college starts back up, he'll be a little bit closer. But good to see Vince this week, and he is playing a Grixis control deck. So we've got interesting matchup here between two decks playing for the long game. It'll be interesting to see if our good friend Dr. Nicholas Bolus, MD, makes an appearance. So we're off to the races here in round 3. Vince, I should say, on a mulligan to 6. But he is keeping those 6, and we are off to the races. On the play, Max lands a turn 3 Vampire Nighthawk, which meets a Syncopate from Vince. An original art Syncopate, which I'm quite a fan of. Turn 4 Huntmaster, does this resolve? Looks like it does. And is it Charm going to deal 2 damage to the actual Huntmaster, leaving just the wolf behind? So Vince, content with just land go, he has Far and Away in his hand along with an Aetherling. So just trying to get to 7 mana to safely land that Aetherling, then put Max on a 3-turn clock. There's a Thragtusk, putting Max back up to 27, changing the race math a little bit. Looks like Vince finds a basic mountain. I don't think he had that in his hand previously, but I could be wrong. Now we can potentially Far and Away here. You can bounce the wolf token, and in response, and if you fuse it, you will make Max sack the Thragtusk, which will not only deal with the front half of the Thragtusk, but will save Vince 3 damage this turn, as the beast won't have haste. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Rakdos Keyrune's still in the stack. Vince doing that in response so that Max can't activate his Keyrune and possibly sack it as opposed to the Thragtusk. So pretty tight play from Vince. We do know he has a Sulphur Falls in his hand, so that's as he draws his 7th land, which is a Dragon's Call summon. So we know he can cast his Aetherling this turn, but obviously very unlikely to do so, as he wants to leave open blue mana to blink and protect it. Looks like his other card is a Blasphemous Act. Act not going to be very good against the Keyrune, but at 18 life, Far and Away clear of any potential in-game damage scenarios. Max just going to pile in with the Beast token. Let's see if he has a follow-up. 5 mana for another Thragtusk? Are we going to see Garruk Primal Hunter? That's going to stick. And that's going to cause some problems here from Vince. The Aetherling is going to come down next turn, but every turn that the Aetherling is not attacking Max is a turn... Another turn where Max can potentially close the game out with damage. This deck, obviously, as we saw from Yen's Jund deck in the last round, plays Kessig Wolf runs, which can expedite this clock rather quickly. So there is an Aetherling with the blue left open to protect it via Blink. And Maxx is going to go ahead and activate Garrick's draw ability, his -3. He's going to draw 3 cards since he does have 3 power beast. And he's going to serve in with both of his beasts. He has found the wolf run here. Looks like he can pump for 5, so that would put this beast up to 8. We know Vince can block and blink, but then he's going to take 8 damage and put himself on a 1-turn clock, and then dead to either of those Thragtusk tokens next turn. Next turn he can untap and then put that Aetherling up to a 0-9 and effectively block based on the number of lands Maxx has in play. But if Maxx finds another land, that plan goes right out the window. So Vince just takes it all. Dropping all the way down to 4 here. I think a Blasphemous Act is coming up. So we're probably going to attack here and kill the Garrick. Then blink out the Aetherling and resolve a Blasphemous Act. There's a Ghost Quarter, which I know to be a 1-of in Vince's deck, which will handle that Wolf Run handily. And we'll likely see... He's going to blink in response here. Blasphemous Act, blink in response. Very interesting here, the way that Vince has tapped his lands. Also interesting, Maxx not choosing to search up a basic land from his Ghost Quarter. That card does read as a maze, so Maxx has the option of not doing that. It seems to be just a mistake there. I'm assuming he plays some number of basic lands in this deck, though I could be wrong. So the Aetherling back on board. Here we see Olivia. Olivia is enough of a threat. We know that, I do not know what the unknown card in Vince's hand is, and I didn't see him after he drew it. But we knew that Drowned Catacomb was in his hand previously. So we're going to flash back, I think twice. I didn't even see him cast previously. He draws another Aetherling and a Far and Away, so he can force Maxx to sack a creature, but he's just going to animate his Keyrune. He should have, I think, forced Maxx to sack that Keyrune, or to sack a creature when the Keyrune was activated, but I think he still had 2 mana that he could have activated it regardless. So Bonfire off the top for the lethal 4, and that's going to be enough. Another Aetherling and a removal spell in Vince's hand that can't counter the lethal Bonfire. So Maxx, off the strength of Garrick, Primal Hunter, and a Thragtusk, getting the job done in Game 1. Like I said, these guys are undefeated. They are both on 2 wins. I'm not sure how many rounds we have tonight. I really am not. We might have 4, we might have 5. I think we have 5. But we will have to wait and see. Other players that are undefeated. We saw Yen Sang win the round 2 feature match. As he and his Jund Midrange deck square off now against Nick Cooper, and I believe Nick Cooper is playing some kind of Esper deck. I'm not sure exactly. I know he was trading for Lingering Souls earlier in the week. The matchup here, and then also Adam Vickers, who we saw in the round 1 feature match, get the win, playing Gruul aggro up against Alec Myers, who's playing the Junk Aristocrats deck. The Young Wolf, Doom Traveler, Voice of Resurgence deck. So 6 players undefeated so far, and then a whole slew of people on 1 win. 24 people still in the tournament. Like I said, a little bit lower numbers than we usually have. But to be fair, it is pre-release week. As I said earlier, all of our European viewers probably at their own pre-release, as it is, at least in the UK right now. It is 2 in the morning, so probably into the second round of their midnight pre-releases. A lot of people gearing up for their own pre-releases here on the East Coast tonight, and then throughout the rest of the country as the night moves on. We here at Los Legion are going to have 2 pre-releases. We're going to have one on both Saturday and Sunday at noon start, so if you're local, make sure to come down, get in on that action. It's one of the few times you'll get to see myself playing Magic, so if you want to come down and battle me at M14 Sealed, you know where to do that at. Just to answer any preemptive questions, we did talk about it earlier in the night, but there will not be a stream of the M14 pre-release on Sunday. We do normally stream the Sunday pre-releases, but for just lack of a better reason, I'm just not going to be able to do it this time. But we will be back next week for our Friday FNM stream, and it will be M14 drafts. So for all of those of you who are more limited fans, I know a lot of people always say we should do more drafts. Well, unfortunately, we don't have draft FNMs all that often, but next week will be one of those, so we'll try to get a super pod together, get some ringers under the camera, watch somebody make their draft picks, build their deck, and then watch the 3 rounds subsequent to that. So hopefully you can make it out then. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Twitch by clicking the follow button on the screen in front of you, and then they'll send you an email whenever our stream goes live, so you never miss a single broadcast. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Question, what archetypes in M14 Sealed I think are best? I really haven't done a ton of analysis of them. I have seen the spoiler, and I'm familiar with a lot of the cards, but I haven't really gone that deep into thinking about it. The white cards seem pretty strong, and I'm always willing to be in black as a splash color in a set that plays Doomblade. It will be interesting to see if Slivers is a viable sealed archetype. The best Slivers I've seen have been the blue, the white, and the green ones. You want to play the double strike sliver, the flying sliver, and of course the reprint of muscle sliver. So it'd be interesting to see if you can amass a critical mass of those and make that deck a reality. So we'll move on to game 2. Both players keeping 7. Looks like Vince has got a handful of lands and a Dreadbore, which is where you want to be in the control, in the pseudo-control mirror match. Obviously, the Jund deck, as a classic mid-range deck, is normally the beatdown, but it can, normally the control deck, I should say, but in this case it is morphing into the beatdown deck, as Vince's deck is considerably slower. So Duress has a choice of taking a redirect, a Dreadbore, is it Charm or a Far and Away? And we also see 2 Drowned Catacombs. Far and Away is the answer. Redirect, a very interesting counterspell out of Vince's deck. But choosing to take out the removal. A Tameo off the top from Vince is going to do a lot of work in this matchup as well. Tameo is a Planeswalker that it's incredibly powerful and just don't see that much anymore. I know the format is very aggressive, and you don't really see a lot of control decks, and it's, very much a control card, but hasn't stopped being good, that's for sure. So Vince is content to play draw go here. We see a Slaughter Games likely naming Aetherling. It is uncounterable. So this is a pretty good spot for Maxx to be in. I'm assuming he's naming Aetherling. Vince deciding if he wants to do anything in response. Looks like he is going to use the looting side of his Is-It charm. And I am going to confirm what he named. It's so good. And I returned with the information he did in fact name Aetherling, which you could have pieced together based on the 3 Aetherlings he pulled out of his deck. But I did want to confirm the, I'm sure they were discussing the redirect possibility, but Slaughter Games does read target opponent, so redirect would not have worked. It is often something that you can... Redirect is something that would allow you to effectively counter an uncounterable spell, but just not in that... Pretty sure Vince shocked himself there. Are you 18? Are you at 18? He did shock himself. So we see the power of Dreadbore. Dreadbore not nearly as good in every matchup as it is at sorcery speed, and it's not that great against the very aggressive decks. But in these control and mid-range matchups, Dreadbore is invaluable in its ability to simply pick off a Planeswalker, as we just saw as Maxx took out a Tameo. So there's a Wolf Run. Arguably the best card in... Holy crap! It's a Rorik Thar. Another sideboarded card for Maxx coming down. Rorik Thar, whenever a player plays a non-creature spell, it deals 6 damage to him. So this is going to turn off a heck of a lot of cards for Vince, as he's on a 3-turn clock just from the non-creature spell triggers. So, Vince is going to go ahead and make, I don't know why I tapped all that mana, but just making Maxx sacrifice a creature. Going to takes 12 damage, but otherwise he was going to take a lot more from the actual attacks. So a Huntmaster coming down for Maxx. It'll be interesting to see what win conditions Vince has left in the deck now that he's had his Aetherlings Slaughter Games. They forgot that the Huntmaster does in fact flip, as Vince did not take any. And activating the Wolf Run, that is enough for Maxx. So we got about 25 minutes left in the round. I'm going to step outside for a brief second and see if we can find another feature match for you.